Hey, what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of BrassRingMedia.com and RVDTV.com. We are live. It is the Daily Wrestling Hotline for August 5th, 2025. And man, do I have a weekend to chat with you all about? A little bit. We have a main topic, of course, here today, but we're live right now on Brass Ring Media X account. I'm sorry. We're on the live on the Dominic D'Angelo X account at Dominic D'Angelo. Boom. We're also live on thanks to Real RVD thanks to RVD for the Real RVD X account. Be sure to sign up for OnlyWrestlers.com. By the way, OnlyWrestlers.com is RVD's cool new platform where you can engage with a lot of different names, from indie stars to notable names like Brian Cage to Katie Forbes to RVD. To plenty more. There's a lot of great names. Violent J on there. Tessa Blanchard. The names go on and on. Charlie Haas. All those are on there, and you can sign up for your own account. Go to onlywrestlers.com and support Rob's sweet, awesome venture. They do live shows, too. They just recently did one in New Orleans, did one in Chicago, and did one in Los Angeles as well. More on tap for that. But thank you all for tuning in. Yes, I was at SummerSlam. Did I say WrestleMania? I probably said WrestleMania. But I was at SummerSlam this past weekend. And I had quite the weekend. So it's very, very, very difficult to get around in the greater North Jersey area if you do not have a vehicle. I did not have a vehicle. I had to rely on Lyft, Uber, and wow, what an expense! What an expense! It was very tough to get around like that. I do not recommend that. Because I wanted to do a lot of things. I wanted to go to WrestleCon. I wanted to go to both nights to SummerSlam. I also wanted to, there was something else. Oh, New York Jets training camp. I had a free ticket to go to the New York Jets training camp, but everything was so far away. Far away. I stayed with pro wrestler friend of the show, Crowbar. Stayed at his place. I got to see GCW, which was awesome. They did pretty cool match. Crowbar took on Effie for the GCW World Championship, and man, what a great match that was. Matt Cardona was on the card. The Hardys showed up, made a surprise appearance. Joey Janela was hanging out. There was some crazy matches on there. So shout out to everybody there. What a cool venue too, the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey. That's where Crowbar lives. So it was right down the street from where we were staying. But yes, got to hang out with Crowbar. Got to hang out with Danny Doring, Roadkill, Big Sal from ECW, from the FBI was there too as well. So very cool. Let's say hi to some folks tuning in right now live in YouTube. Sean, thank you, Sean. What's up, everyone? Wouldn't have brought Lesnar back, but that's just me. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think from what Robert Harpless, my co-host for Rumor and Innuendo, noon Eastern Standard Time, every Monday through Friday on Robert's X account and on my X account, WCreative_ish, or at Dominic D'Angelo. And we're also live on YouTube too. So on any of the YouTube channels, if you want to check it out. But he painted a pretty clear picture for me as to WWE just doing their due diligence with the legal aspect of it all, and how it's pretty likely that they covered their bases and made sure that Brock was A-okay to come back when it comes to, what the lawsuit could entail for him. Robert did a great job at explaining what Janelle Grant's side of things would have to do to implicate Lesnar into this lawsuit further and put him in a bad situation. So I think WWE just probably likely did their due diligence in making sure that Brock was clear for takeoff, so to speak, and to make a return. Zach Minger says, Happy National Oyster Day. Well, how about that? Hunter Iggy says, Brass Ring Media, if this is true that WWE removed Brock Lesnar from the lawsuit 4 weeks ago, and why everyone so upset? Why is everyone so upset about it? Yeah, I think they cleared the deck for him, like I said. But overall, I think SummerSlam, there were big takeaways, obviously. Seth cashing in, Punk winning the title. That Gunther Punk match was awesome. One of my favorite matches of the year. One of my favorite matches Punk has had in a while. I like Punk matches, though, too. I won't say that. I think Punk had a great, awesome match with Drew McIntyre, obviously, in that Hell in a Cell match. But, like, it was a really, really great highlight for Punk. Funny enough, one of my favorite matches, speaking of, all-time favorite SummerSlam matches, SummerSlam 2013, CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar. One of my favorite matches. But yes, just taking a look to see what other people are saying here. I think Sean is referring to Brock here, more from just the wrestling perspective. He isn't very interesting anymore. He wrestles the same match. It's a fair argument, I think. I think Brock, though, is very unique in regards to his presentation, who he is, the legitimacy of him, and the star name, the name cachet. So while some people think one thing, it's kind of like Goldberg. You know, Goldberg has name cachet, and you know the casual fan knows who a Goldberg is, knows who a Brock Lesnar is. So bringing him back might not feel super great for some ardent fans, but the casual fan it ropes in. Yeah, no, Brock Lesnar's back. Looks like I got to tune in. So it's probably the mindset there. Yeah, it sounds like they will have something good planned for Gunther. I think the good plan right now is to have him go away for a little bit. You know, it's a good move to keep him off of television, have him sell the loss, and then he comes back and he's a different kind of Gunther, a new version of Gunther. Good comparison, but Goldberg is super old and done, right? But like, so doesn't that speak even further to the point of bringing Brock back? Like, he's not super old and done. Brock, from all accounts, can probably still go. I mean, granted, though, it's been 2 years, so who knows? Has he lost a step or two? But we'll have to wait and see, I guess, for that. But I'm sure we'll be talking about more of that on more hotlines here. Did want to talk about the topic at hand that I have covered in the headline here. And that is WWE doing away with the press conferences. Now, part of an incentive for media to go to WWE events was certainly the possibility of going to a press conference, being a part of the press conference. And, you know, I've been to a couple. I've asked a couple questions. I haven't been to all of them. You know, I'm not a big media outlet. Whether I was representing, well, every time when I did get there or when I didn't get invited, I'd be representing ad-free shows. So sometimes I would get the invite to go in there, and other times I didn't. So, but I will have to say, it's fun. It's fun to be a part of. If you take yourself seriously when it comes to wrestling journalism, and I, you know, have a journalism degree, does not mean whatsoever. Like I've said before, you do not need a journalism degree to be a journalist, and that's in any capacity. It sure helps you learn a foundation for the craft, if you will. It certainly helped me, you know, just know the basic 101s and etiquette and certain aspects like that, having that journalism degree and that experience. But at the same time, too, you can go out on the beat and cover something you really want to. You just have to handle yourself in a professional manner. And, you know, I take a little bit of pride in doing that. You know, if I'm going to, this is going to be very hypocritical, but bear with me here. If I'm going to any wrestling event and I'm covering it as media, you will not see me wearing wrestling gear like t-shirts, merchandise, hats, funny enough, look at what I'm wearing right now. That is the John Cena "You Can't See Me" Jets hat. Now, I don't buy merchandise a lot. I'm just not a merchandise guy. I used to collect wrestling figures, still from an extent I do, especially if they're Scott Hall figures. But I did get this hat because I'm a New York Jets fan. And I figured, man, I'm in New York City, or the proper New York area, greater New York area. And why not? I cover pro wrestling. Figure I got to get the hat if it's a New York Jets thing, and it ties into wrestling. It's a kind of a one kind of deal. So right now I am wearing a hat, but if I were to be going to a WWE event to cover it, I would not be wearing this hat. I would not be wearing any wrestling stuff. So going into that, and if you're covering not to say that wrestling is not a sport, it's its own kind of genre of sport, but if you're covering a professional sport like the NFL or the NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, you name it, if you're wearing something of that team that you're supposed to be covering, that's super unprofessional. Super unprofessional, and you just don't do that. Other aspects that I take exception with, and you can kind of take what you will, considering wrestling is such a unique kind of genre, one of a kind kind of genre. People up in the press box sometimes clap and applaud and cheer like fans. I don't do that. I mean, I'll react because yes, there is part of the story aspect, and if it gets executed well, just a reaction. It's almost like the theater aspect of it all. But at the same time too, it's like, look, I grew up a fan. I like wrestling. I enjoy watching wrestling. I am compelled by it, but I am not going to act like a fan if I'm covering it. Like, just not part of. I just don't like it. This is setting something up here. So I mean, we get that. What I mentioned before: people wearing wrestling merchandise, media wearing wrestling merchandise. Some do, believe it or not. People clapping, cheering, reacting like fans in the press box. It happens. Okay, then now let's get to the press conference. If you're one of the select few that usually got to get into the press conference, you get the invite down, you get set up afterwards. And yes, there would be some media with T-shirts on that would get invited. There would be media that were acting like fans that would get down there. They probably represented a bigger outlet, or they represented something. There was never a concrete reasoning of which outlets or who got invited or anything like that. I think, it was just, I don't know the process of it all. I can't really give you details about any of that, but I can say that you had a mix of some people that acted professional and other people that didn't. And for the greater aspect of it all, the press conferences, while once in a while you get some engaging content, more often than not, you'd get softball questions, and you would get stupid questions, and you would get questions that are, I don't want to say gotcha. I don't want to say gotcha questions. Sometimes you will get those, but I will say questions that don't pertain to maybe what WWE wants to promote or talk about. And that's controversial stuff. So here's the difference, the dichotomy of, sports and WWE here. Sports are, if you're a sports team, if you're the New York Jets, here, I'll switch hats. If you're, watch this, the New York Jets, boom, you are beholden to speak to the media. You have to speak to the media. It's part of it. Same with so training camp's going on. Training camp, more coaches would likely not have fans be watching training camp. Well, guess what? It's the NFL. It's a business. So you are going to have fans watching the training camp. You're going to have media watching training camp, asking you questions after training camp ends. So they are beholden as a team, as a coach. Aaron Glenn is beholden to talk about the Jets and answer any media questions that they have. Now, if he can dismiss a question, if he doesn't like it, like he doesn't have to answer it, but he's going to get asked. He's obligated to. WWE has no obligation to do any of these. None of them. They haven't ever. You go back 3 years, there was no sign of a WWE press conference for many moons, many years, decades. No obligation to do it. So if you have a roster of your own, a bullpen of your own of media talent, you have a Pete Rosenberg, you have a Sam Roberts, you have a Big E, you have a Triple H show up, you have a Byron Saxton, a Jackie Redmond, a Joe Tessitore. Why wouldn't you pivot away from allowing media, an unpredictable element coming into your venue, where you're WWE and you want to control a certain narrative? You want to talk about certain things pertaining to story, pertaining to stars, and promoting your product. You would present a Big E, a Joe Tessitore, and a Pete Rosenberg talking about it on a post-show panel like you would a Pat McAfee show or like you would College Game Day, anything like that. You are furthering your product. Now, what is more interesting as a fan? To potentially hear some Joe Schmo that you never heard of, a Dominic D'Angelo, ask a question about, I don't know, what the situation is with The Rock or whatever. I don't know. That's an engaging question. But if you don't know who I am from Sunday and like you're not seeing who it is, I think the mass audience of people are going to be more engaged of a Big E making some inferences, like cracking jokes, but not insulting the fans' intelligence at the same time, and being a captivating personality over some joke dirt sheet writer fanboy asking a question. So while it is disappointing to an extent, maybe for the media side of things, to not have a press conference where they can ask questions, it is completely contradictory to what WWE is trying to do. And, say what you will about the Lesnar situation, how that goes. But, I mean, ultimately, you take Lesnar out of it, this is the right move anyway, which way you choose. Honestly, from the side of us, the media, more often than not, it's like a moment, oh, this is my chance to shine. That's how I think a lot of the media views that. Whereas in comparison to, I'm using Jets media just because I'm so familiar with them. A Rich Cimini from ESPN, who has years and years and years of coverage of the Jets, has been to not millions, but thousands and thousands of press conferences, is going there to get a story, to get content, to do things like that. Whereas you bring somebody, I'm not going to name names or anybody like that, because you could certainly fit me in there too, to say, oh, you get to ask a question to Triple H. Well, how often does somebody random get to ask Triple H a question? Not often whatsoever. This is your only chance, really, right? So this is your chance to shine. So I think a lot of the media looks at that like that. Wrestling media looks at that like that. And I mean, can you blame them? Not really, I guess, because let's be honest, the majority of wrestling media, the vast majority of wrestling media are not really media. All right. You are media in the realm of you create content, you maybe are a personality and you post videos, but like from a media perspective, you're not going there as a journalist or going there with a certain mindset to ask the right things. Now, don't want to certainly label everybody like that, but I mean, a good chunk of what's there for wrestling media as no really media training, in regards to some stuff, So it's a good move. It's a good move by WWE to do that and just get rid of it. You're not beholden to answer media questions. If you're doing an interview, that's one thing. And even at that juncture, you can dismiss any question you don't want to, just like a head coach would. If they get asked about somebody's injury or, a controversy in the locker room of, two players or something like that, they're going to get asked a question, but they have the option to dismiss it. So WWE is not obligated to do that. So why have them do that at the same time? Doesn't make sense. So yeah, I just wanted to touch upon that. It's a fascinating thing. Yeah, I loved going to the press conferences. They were fun. It was cool. I was like, man, sitting right here, I feel like I'm a journalist. And I, who do I ask questions to? I think I asked Sammy and Kevin Owens. Yes, I asked them a question at WrestleMania 39. I asked somebody else a question there during WrestleMania 39. I got 2 questions in that weekend. And then Bailey, I asked a question at Royal Rumble the next year after she won it about Dusty Rhodes. Literally, I think those were the only press conferences I was a part of. 39, WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles, and then Royal Rumble 2024. I think that was it for WWE. Now, let's flip the coin here. AEW has done press conferences since the beginning. And you know what? They're really, really cool for a while. And now, again, you don't really get great questions at some of these. You just don't. Not that and I'll admit, like, I've asked questions that have been really sometimes at the AEW ones. Now, it's been a while since I've been to an AEW press conference, but this is an opportunity, if AEW wants to be different from WWE. What I would recommend that AEW does is shorten the press conferences. But Tony is generous with his time and wants to make sure everybody gets a question. So they run long. I would just put it on the media a little bit to ask better questions. Now, hey, I want to make something also clear too. Sometimes at these pro football press conferences, you don't get asked the best questions either. Literally, I've heard a couple of them since training camp. Like, somebody asked Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the New York Jets, a ridiculous question. I was like, that is a stupid question. What a dumb question to ask. So by all means, you can be a media person, credentialed, et cetera, and still ask a stupid question. You can still be dumb. Okay. So yes. But yeah, I think it's a good move on WWE's part. Just do a post show. Get your personalities on there and have them talk about the matches, have them talk about the stars. If you want to blur the lines a little bit, you can blur the lines. People are good at that. Big E's good at that. Bring in stuff from the outside area. Talked about Raquel Rodriguez learning from Kevin Nash. That is outside the WWE box. So it's just like pulling stuff from outside is cool. You get extra added insight. So yeah, I think it's a great move by WWE to do that. I don't fault them at all. It makes sense. I wouldn't fault AEW if they got rid of their press conferences, but I think that gives them an opportunity to be different. And I would rethink the press conference when it comes to AEW. You can still have them. You can still bring media in. You can still be open. That's the nice thing about it. That's the cool thing. You want to differentiate yourself. You just got an opportunity here and right now to do it. Think of a different way to do your press conferences. Don't vet questions like you do, but again, though, you're stuck with people asking stupid questions. Sometimes it just happens. I guess that happens anyway. So, let's see. I know the green shirt guy. He's all over the place. Who is he? How does he get that much money to go to all these seats front row? It's crazy. It's bonkers. It's just bonkers. I don't get it. Did you see Brock Lesnar guy putting up a video looking like a total mark for himself? like he's a celebrity. It is pretty funny, right? I mean, God bless him, because that's like, was his 15 seconds of fame, 5 seconds of fame, 2 seconds of fame, whatever it may be. So why not ride that wave if that's who you are and you have a name that you can kind of get out there. If I were him, I'd try to make something of it and do like a show where he talks about wrestling and try to do something out of that. If he's got a personality, I don't know who he is. So, I have to always double take to see, is that Brock Lesnar guy? Okay, that's Brock Lesnar time. Okay. Maddie says, I hope they haven't released Cross. I think his contract's set to expire here at the end of August. Maybe they'll blur the lines with him and do something they did akin to Seth here, but I don't know. I like Karrion Kross a lot. I think there's a lot of value on him. Just where do you put him and what do you do with him? Like, you could make something special, I think, with him. I think he's a grinder. He does what a lot of wrestlers should be doing, and that's make his own content, comes up with unique ideas, thinks outside the box, and takes the reins himself. I mean, that's what any wrestler aspiring to be a star should do. So good for him. If this match with Sami Zayn was kind of like a gold watch for him, hey, wrestle in your backyard. We're probably not going to renew your contract, but make the most of it. Thank you for your time. And, you can always come back, so maybe that's the right thing for him to go on and do something different. And then, almost like, again, follow the route of a Cody or a Matt Cardona, even if he doesn't go back, but he just promotes himself and does the right things. Like what he created an opportunity for himself to get over, and he got himself over organically, grassroots style. So awesome for Karrion Kross. I hope WWE does keep him around. I think you can do a lot with him. He's one of my favorites in the business today. So that's my thoughts on that. All right. I wasn't really planning to go live for the hotline. I usually just record an 8-10 minute talk and then post it, but I haven't done it in well over a week. So I figured get back on track with it and stay a little more consistent on it. But yes, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is cool to do. Feel free to shout me out, whether it's on X at Dominic D'Angelo. Follow me at Dominic D'Angelo. Or, like Brass Ring Media, go to our YouTube page, brassringmedia.com. Hit subscribe, share, like, help us out, help get the word out about this channel. We're going to do some fun stuff coming up here. If you're further intrigued, you can sign up for the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/brassringmedia. Zach Haydorn does awesome stuff on there too with his crew and written content and stuff like that. That is special for viewers and subscribers. Also, shout out to Ashley Mann for her Kick Ash podcast. She does every Saturday around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to tune into that. That's a lot of fun. She does a great job with the live chat and getting everybody engaged and into it. What a great perspective she has too. She's a smart mind for the business of itself. So happy to have her, and Robert, who does the Nocturnal Knockout and does unique takes on things like that. So be sure to check all that stuff out. We got some fun stuff on there. I'm going to try to get some interviews lined up. I plan to stay in Pittsburgh for quite a while now. I don't plan to go and make a trip. New Jersey was just way too expensive, way too stressful, and just frustrating in some regards. Not regards to the wrestling aspect of it all, but me just getting around to places and stuff like that. So I plan to stick around Pittsburgh for a little bit, unless something crazy happens. So that's it. Thank you all for tuning in, and I appreciate the patronage. Seeing Maddie in here is always great. Oh, we got a New York Jets fan in there. Boom. New York Jets fanboy. Hey, shout out, brother. Universal title is not worthy. I don't know what that means, but I like your emoji and your name. Shout out to Sean, too, for tuning in. I appreciate that. Good to see his name in the mix again. That as well. But thank you all. Spread the word. Help us out. And I'll see you next time here on the Daily Pro Wrestling Hotline. Remember, call 1-900-909-9900.